Right, there we go. Hey, everybody. Just wanted to say hi, and we're ready to go live again. And we've got Brock with us. So, Brock, thanks for joining us today.
Of course, thanks for having me. Excited to be here and be talking with you.
Yeah, for sure. And for those that don't know, Brock.Bremmer here, he's an Air Force reservist turned realtor, and he's had an amazing first year, or not quite a full first year yet, but he was able to quit his job in corporate America. And that's what we're going to do today is just talk about, his success with eXp and how he got started with the company, what he's doing now, and, some of his investor background and just kind of, where he sees himself going and what the opportunity he thinks is. So let's kind of jump into it. And for sure, just wanted to say, yeah, thanks again, Brock. I know it's, we're all busy, and here you are taking some time. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those markets where I don't know anything different, but it is insane. It requires a lot of attention. So.
Yeah, for sure. It's just moving so quick. And that's kind of a good starting point, right? So tell me a little bit about your kind of life before real estate and what kind of led you into real estate and into wanting to get your license versus just being an investor.
Yeah, so I don't remember the exact date, but back in 2016, I actually was at a medical appointment for my reserve duty, and I was sitting next to one of my friends for my reserve unit, and he started talking to me about real estate investing, and so I kind of was like, all right, like this sounds interesting. He gave me a bunch of resources, and I sort of like dove into learning everything real estate as far as like the investing side of it. And so I was like reading Bigger Pockets podcast listening to this podcast, reading everything on their blog posts, reading books, all kinds of stuff. And then I finally made the decision to buy my first property back in 2018. So I bought a single family home with the intention of living there for a little while and then renting it out. And so that's exactly what I did is in 2019. So a little over a year later, I ended up purchasing a second property. And so that first one that I bought was, a brand new home, so it was move-in ready and everything. The one in 2019 is where I'm living at now, and it's a project. So I'm doing a live-in flip on it, and I've been taking my time getting it all squared away and updated and everything like that. So that's where I'm at on the investing side. And then last year during COVID, I kind of thought to myself, you know what, maybe I should, get my license so I can help myself on the business side of it and just like save some money on the listings and, make some money on the buying side as well. So that was kind of the initial thought process behind getting my license. And so at that time, I was working full time at a major company here in San Antonio doing cybersecurity. And so during the off time, I actually started studying for my license and passed my license exam the last week of October. So last week of October, I got licensed and joined eXp.
Wow. So that's quite a bit, right? You've covered a lot of time there. So just initially, one of the things that, just to make sure, right? So you said you'd kind of gotten some advice from a friend or a coworker.
Yep.
That kind of led you into learning about real estate, and that took you about a year. Was that right? Before you made your first purchase?
A little over a year. So sometime in 2016 is when he first told me about it, and then it was early 2018. So about a year and a half, maybe closer to 2 total.
Nice. And then you lived in the house, and then while you were there, I'm sure you're still learning and still studying. So then you find kind of a fixer-upper, which might be a better deal.
Yep.
So you go ahead and rent this one, and now you're doing fixing it up while you live in the house, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that was, I was not trying to do a live-in flip. It just turned out that way. I was trying to get a contractor to fix everything, and I was gonna, my original plan with the house I'm in now was to have that contractor fix everything, and then I was just gonna sell it after 2 years to avoid some capital gains tax.
Right.
And so that was my initial thought behind it, but the contractor didn't work out, and so I've just been slowly getting things fixed here and there.
So it might work out that way anyway, right? Just some kind of route to get there. But yeah, and that's cool. So that also says a lot about you in terms of, right? A lot of people will hear advice from somebody, but never dig in enough to, like you said, you start listening to podcasts and learning and read about it, right? So you're taking action on it, and then to go the further step of actually investing in something and buying a piece of real estate, right? So that's another thing, and then you kind of quickly came to the idea or the conclusion of, hey, I can get my license and kind of make a little bit more money or save a little bit more money, depending on how you look at it on that. And so in that 3 to 4 year span, you went from, Air Force kind of only mindset, it sounds like, or, Air Force in your corporate job mindset to, to a complete 180 where you're on, now you're an independent contractor, you're doing the real estate thing, you've got your real estate investments. So you've taken a lot of action in that short time. It's not,
absolutely.
That's pretty amazing in and of itself.
My mindset from just working, a corporate job to becoming more of an entrepreneur has kind of like shifted a lot, especially in the last, year or so. But it started with that conversation that my friend said of, hey, you should look into real estate investing.
Right, and mindset is huge. So that's really a good way to put it. And so just kind of going back even further. So what were you doing? Where were you from? That kind of got you, were you from San Antonio? And how did you kind of get into the military and the Air Force and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so I'm not originally from San Antonio, but I consider it home. I've been here for just about 17 years.
Okay.
Total now. And so I was born up in North Texas, up in the Panhandle.
Nice.
Just lived all over Texas. And then, like I said, I've been here in San Antonio for the last 17 years. My dad's job brought us down here back when I was in middle school, so I've just stayed. And then, shortly, right after I graduated high school, I enlisted into the Air Force Reserves, and I didn't know exactly what I was going to do with that. So my initial plan was just to do my 6 years so I could get, college paid for, didn't have to worry about the parents paying for it. And also because there's kind of family history with the military. My grandfather and my uncle on my mom's side of the family were both military, not Air Force, but one was Army, one was a Marine. So decided to continue that family honor of just being in the military.
Yeah, well, that's great, and that's huge, and I totally get that. It's kind of the similar path for me, and I've got a bunch of military history in my family as well. So it's kind of, we jokingly call it like the family scholarship. Right? You want to pay for school, you join the military, they'll help you out with that. Right? So
absolutely,
yeah. So I get it for sure, and then like, so we already kind of know that your first company that you've been with in real estate is eXp. So how did you come to the idea of joining eXp, and how long have you been in the business, and that kind of thing? How's it going for you so far?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I got licensed at the end of October of 2020. So it's been about 9.5, 10 months now that I've been licensed and as a licensed realtor. It's been going pretty well, but I found eXp by way of a couple of friends. One of them was with eXp, and he kind of showed me like the Brinko Model Explain video. And that was kind of my first sight into eXp, and so I really liked it. And then after I got my license, he was no longer at eXp, but one of my really good friends from high school and previous roommate and everything, he's actually with eXp. And so he showed me more about eXp and looked at a couple of other brokerage models with me. And then I ended up deciding on eXp because of what I saw. So been here for 10 months, and it's been a blessing so far.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, because it's been a heck of a 10 months. Yeah, and so talk about that a little bit from like a newer agent's perspective, right? Because some of the knock out there in the world is that eXp is not a good spot to start your career because you need more training and you need to be in the office and things like that. Which come to think of it, it's probably different for you anyway. I mean, were you able to go to real estate school, or was everything locked down when you were going through the classes?
Yeah, so I don't think I had an option to do in person. So I ended up doing an online course, and it actually worked out better in my favor that way anyways, because I was working a full-time job. And so it was easier for me just to do an online class in the evenings and late into the night and on the weekends versus having to be somewhere at 2 p.m. or whatever the case may have been. So that's my learning style too, is I like the online stuff to learn and do what I need to.
Right.
But yeah, that's...
And so when, I guess that kind of played into the whole idea of understanding eXp, if you're already kind of used to doing most of your stuff online anyway, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And at that point, late August into September, the company I was working for, we were all working remotely from home anyways because of the COVID and just trying to be safe and all that stuff. So I was already used to doing everything from my home office, and coming from a tech background, right? I've worked in cybersecurity for the last 5 years, and so just having that kind of technology experience, it was easy, and like that part of the eXp model kind of like came out to me. It's like, oh, that's awesome, I can do this.
Right. So your mindset was kind of already there, which I think is probably correct for, a lot of people. I think at that time, last year when things were locked down really heavy, I guess it opened a lot of eyes to, before the kind of thing was, yeah, I like having my office, right? But, we know statistically that most people aren't going to their office, and then like the whole world started not going to the office. And in fact, if you wanted to go to the office for whatever that was, 60 days or so, you couldn't really, the whole thing was locked up. And so I think that opened a lot of eyes to how much people can really get done without having to go to an office, if they want to. And so yeah, then I guess so far, what have some of your successes and challenges been in real estate so far in like your 10 months? And then I'll follow that up, because obviously you feel enough success in it that you were willing to kind of quit your corporate America job, right, and go into real estate full time.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll kind of take you from the beginning of my real estate career till now, which is short, but it's fun. So yeah, I got licensed end of October. I started working, as hard as I could to find some leads and stuff, but that was, a challenge, right? I was active in the referral groups on our workplace within eXp, and several agents didn't want to pass along a referral because I was a new agent with a full-time job. So like, well, what do you know, and how are you going to help a client? And so a previous coworker at a company before the one I left, the last one I was working at, had reached out and wanted to buy a house. So that was in February that we actually got them closed. So
okay.
It took about 4 months to get my first transaction closed. And that was exciting. I liked the feeling of helping them. And so I kind of really started ramping up more and trying to find more people to work with. And during that time up until they closed, I was still trying to find other leads and clients to work with. And some were coming together, excuse me, and others weren't. But I was just being persistent and trying to keep going. And so between that client and up until the time I left my full-time job, I had closed 4 more transactions. No. I had closed a total of about 4 transactions. So by the time I quit the full-time job, I had 4 transactions under my belt, and then I also had 3 more under contract. So, so that was kind of a catalyst as well. So I'm kind of like, all right, well, there's some stuff, as long as everything works out, that's coming up in the future, and this will help keep me afloat. So, just kind of.
So even that is good. I mean, I think honestly, I closed 4 my whole first year in the business. To go ahead and change everything you're doing after the 4, and then you have 3 more come in. I mean, those are all big steps. And so what would you say that was like 6 or 8 months into the business when you decided to make that call?
Yeah, it was about 8 months. Yeah, end of June. So the funny thing too is after I got my license, I had told my manager at the full-time job, I was like, hey, just want to let you know I'm a licensed realtor, but don't worry, it's not going to interfere. I plan on being here for at least 2+ years more. But that changed when I started, closing more deals and getting that feeling of satisfaction of helping someone, but also just the fact that I was super busy, working with clients. I had so many people in my pipeline that I was just like, you know what, I don't have time to do everything that's on my plate now, so something's got to give. And that was the full-time job was that big time waste. Well, not a waste because I was being productive, but time suck. That was, taking away valuable time I needed.
Right. And that's actually, that's really a cool thing that you did in terms of, they say when you find something you like, you kind of got to, burn the bridges and go after it, because that's how you get kind of focused. And a lot of people are afraid to do that, right? You keep one toe in the corporate world and one toe in the real estate world, or whatever that other thing is that you're chasing, right? And then you kind of, you never get where you want to go and you don't really do great on either end because you're doing it. And that's pretty cool that you decided to do that so quickly and so soon. And I think that's another, just kind of hats off to you. And another reason why you're probably going to be, way more successful than you already are. So I think that'll be cool too, to see where your career goes and everything like that. So what did you do? Or like maybe there's another new agents or newer agents that are out there, right? So you were going from 0 leads, kind of working the referral end of things to, 4 closed deals, 3 more in the pipeline, and your pipeline was so full, you said, right, that you were already thinking, okay, what's going to give, corporate America or this real estate thing? So what did you do in that 6 to 8 months to fill that pipeline?
Honestly, a lot of it was being active on the referral networks within the eXp workplace.
Right.
That's where a lot of my leads were from. I also kind of was working a little bit with Op City and getting a few leads here and there. Not that I've closed anything with them just yet, but that was still a lead source. And then just putting out ads and different posts on social media. So that was where I was getting all of my leads. It's just everything I was pushing out.
Right.
My sphere.
And so that's good. And it sounds like those were all relatively inexpensive, or at the very worst, you kind of pay when you close, right? You're not paying to build these leads and to build that pipeline.
Exactly.
So from your experience, it doesn't take a lot of money to build that pipeline and get the business going?
Not at all. You just got to be on top of things and be willing to do the things you need to do to get the leads, whether it be social media posts or just making some phone calls. But yeah, I haven't really paid for any lead sources yet. It's been other agents in our network just passing along a client or of theirs that is moving to my area or moving out of the area. So
right, that's awesome. Have you had any of the double end clients where they're like buying or selling and then buying, or that they've already kind of referred you to somebody else? Have you had any of that experience yet?
So I've got my first double end deal coming up soon. It's actually someone in my sphere. They're purchasing a house this month, and then we're getting ready to list their house here in the next couple of weeks. So that'll be my first one.
Well, nice. That's a great one. And it sounds like you're working your SOI, your sphere of influence as well as the other things you're doing. So you're keeping yourself busy so that you can keep those clients coming in the door.
Absolutely. Yeah, right. And I've kind of shifted too from just working on referrals only to making some cold calls. It's not my favorite thing to do, but it's
right.
I'm trying to force myself to do.
So who are you calling when you're doing that?
Just people who currently own a home. So I use I don't know if anyone's heard of Ricky Caruth, but he's got that method of cold calling homeowners with RedX, and so that's what I use is
right.
the RedX to find homeowners information and reach out to them.
Yeah, and I know he's done great things in the real estate business, and so that's probably a good mentor or a good model to follow, right?
Absolutely, yeah. He's got some awesome advice, good mindset, good values, so it's good to follow.
Yes, see, that's great too. And then so let's talk about some of the, I guess, what I consider like the fun side of real estate at eXp and what that's doing and what that's done. But so what happened when you closed your first deal with eXp? Did you get any stock?
Yeah, so it was actually, I got awarded some stock for closing my first transaction for the year. I also got additional stock because I opted into the agent equity program. So they took a portion of my commission and bought the company stock at a discount. So it was awesome to receive stock in a couple ways from one transaction.
Heck yeah, right. And do you have like are you on the kind of like we do it, the set it and forget it? So you opted into the agent equity plan and you just do it on every deal?
Yeah, and it's awesome. I mean, I've only closed 5 or 6 deals at this point, and so I don't have a ton of shares just because of the price points of
right
shares and where the amount of commission I put in. But it's doing pretty well, especially with the recent news about our Q2 earnings and everything.
Yeah. So what did you hear on the highlight? What are some of those Q2 earnings, if you remember? What are the highlights that you remember about that?
The two main ones I remember is that we had $1 billion in revenue for the quarter, which was incredible, considering how few agents we actually have within the brokerage.
Right.
And then the second one was that they announced a dividend for us, the first time ever. So just another way for us to earn some more stock from the company.
Yeah, and that's an amazing way to look at it too, because if you kind of watching Glenn and the board when they did that kind of fireside chat, talk about making that announcement. They were saying that they were looking for another way to add, revenue streams to us agents' pockets, right? And that's another one that's coming now. Right now, we're going to receive those dividends on top of. So that's like they're giving us stock for selling houses, and then they're going to give us the dividend, which is just more money for owning the stock that we earned for selling houses.
Absolutely. So it's awesome. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's like layers and layers deep of what they're doing just to make sure us agents stay happy, right? And it's a pretty cool thing. And then, and then the stock jumped up, obviously. I think since that announcement, I think it went from like $33 a share or somewhere in that range up to close to 50 today. I don't know if it's crossed 50.
I think today it was in the low 50s. I don't know the exact number, but definitely.
Yeah, right.
Jumped up quite a bit in the last week and a half, 2 weeks.
Well, and that's an amazing thing because, again, we own the stock,
Yep.
And that's just what's so cool about it. And another thing that I was reading up on Zillow's numbers, because they're a public company and they trade, they have to report their Q2 numbers as well. And one of the crazy things that I didn't recognize, because they're kind of the 800-pound gorilla in the real estate space right now, and their revenue for the same quarter was $1.3 billion.
Oh wow! Yeah,
so we're in that kind of ballpark now if you look at it, which is crazy. But the next crazy stat, again, because I like to dig into these things, was their net income for that quarter was $10 million, and eXp's net income for that quarter was $37 million.
Oh wow! So we blew them out the water with that one.
So all of a sudden you start looking at that, and then my mind starts racing. Like, what are we really valued at if their company is like a $30 billion company, and they're trading at $100 and something a share or whatever, and here we are doing these kind of numbers. I think especially when we kind of hit that 100,000 agent count, it's going to go crazy.
Oh, this is just the beginning for us, so it's going to be incredible.
Yeah, it's going to be fun for sure. And it's nice to fall asleep and wake up and see that you made more money.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a cool part about it. And so when you were, and I'm just using this term, maybe that's not what you would use, but when you were kind of feeling stuck starting out with the, generating leads and doing those types of things, what did you do to overcome that? Or was there anything that eXp offered to help you overcome that? Or like how did you work through that kind of dry spell? You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I definitely kind of had the thought a couple times, like, man, is this the right choice? I really want to do this. Just because it was kind of like not like a low point, but it was just kind of like I was on that high of I closed, my first transaction, and then I didn't really have a whole lot of other clients wanting to do stuff. And so I just kept persisting and trying to tell myself, it's a numbers game, right? There's lots of other agents who have done some trainings for us and, the world and stuff, and they just say, it's a numbers game. You out of 1 out of 100 or whatever a stat may have been, actually follow through a transaction. So you got to make 100 phone calls to get one transaction closed. So I just kind of had that thought in my head and just kept pushing forward, kept making phone calls, kept trying to, show homes to people who want to do stuff. And as far as finding some more leads and stuff, eXp, we have, our KV Core system and website and everything. And so I was able to create some squeeze pages and push some content out there to, my social media and run some ads as well to get some more leads. So that was helpful.
Right.
That's a free tool for us to use. So there's possibly thing that I would squeeze page for a listing in the market.
Right. And so it sounds like a big part of that was for you to plug in to stuff that eXp had going, whether it was training from other agents or the KV Core training. And then again, here's a great example of you putting that stuff into action. But it seems to me, and that's one of the mistakes I think I made, and I think a lot of agents make it, because you come to real estate with an entrepreneurial mindset, like, hey, I'm going to go do this, right? Or I'm going to do it on my own, maybe more accurate. And then you get here and you're like, okay, I'm going to go do my thing. And they've already got all these things mapped out and lined up, and just plug in. So I think the quicker and the more that people plug into what eXp has to offer, no matter whether you're new or old or 30 years in the business or 1 year in the business. I think plug it into what they have to offer is super important. And it sounds like you did that again right away.
Yeah, absolutely. I will admit I haven't totally kept up with KB4. I started off strong with it, and then I got real busy and swamped and kind of stepped away from it. But
right.
It's a very powerful tool that we get on top of everything else. So yeah, plugging in is crucial.
Yeah, for sure. Reach back in there and go again. And so what would you say as far as the kind of coaching and training that you're receiving from eXp in the various spots that it has? Would you recommend it? Would you what are some of the, I guess, comments that you would have on that?
Yeah, so I'm doing all kinds of training. One person I mentioned earlier is Ricky Carruth. He's got his free training that he offers to all agents. That's been super helpful. All of the training that's in eXp world, that's put on live by the agents, and even the pre-recorded stuff. That stuff has a lot of great information as well that I kind of just plugged into, and it teaches you everything from, hey, I'm a brand new agent that knows nothing, to learning stuff from agents who've been in the business and hit some major award milestones, such as Icon Agent with eXp and everything. So those trainings are really good. My sponsor into eXp, he's I mentioned earlier that he was my friend from high school and everything. He's got a lot of great stuff that he puts out for me and our team, and so he puts out a lot of great training. Also, just some of the local agents here in the San Antonio market. I've gone to some of the lunch and learns that are hosted by some of the agents here in town, and it's just great to connect and learn what's working for them and what's not, and just kind of picking all kinds of different stuff from people all over the place and just trying to mesh it together.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And that just reminded me that I had that little scroll for you so that people can reach out to you, because you're coming out, you're coming out with a lot of good information, especially from somebody who's gone kind of 0 to 60 right off the bat. And so where are you at now as far as your number of closings? Do you think you're going to cap this first year and maybe kind of give an idea of what that cap would be in the number of transactions or whatever?
Yeah, so I closed, I believe it's 6 transactions totaling about 1.3 million in volume. I've got 2 more closing this month for nice. Sure, and then I've hopefully got a few listings on the books coming up as well. So that should put me on track to cap this year at the $16,000 cap that we have here at eXp. So I don't think I'll hit Icon just because of the time that I spent working at the full-time job, but I'm definitely on track to hit my cap for this first year. And I'm hoping to Icon.
Well, I mean, that's amazing. Again, like the NAR says, the average realtor is going to close I think it's somewhere between 5 and 8 transactions a year, and you're going to blow that out of the water. Plus, you're going to cap, right? Yep. And if you're building that pipeline like you are, the next year is going to be even better for you. And and the other bonus is, right, when you cap, eXp is going to give you more stock in the company.
Exactly. Yeah.
That sales goal, so it's almost incentivizing us, or you to go sell more, right? Let's go hit that cap. It's more.
You're a great agent. There's some more stock. Keep going.
Yeah, here, go get some more stock.
Yeah.
So I guess with all that kind of ramping up and everything, another angle that eXp offers for agents is the rev share, where you bring. It's kind of like getting paid referral fees. Right? You bring agents to the company that sell houses, and eXp is going to pay you a little bit from that. So have you had any success with that? I know some agents shy away from it, or a lot of times agents feel like, hey, I haven't been in the business long enough to tell anybody about this, about this. So where do you stand on all that?
Yeah, so I am trying to take advantage of the agent attraction and stuff, and build up my revenue share. I got my first agent sponsored into the company about 2.5-3 weeks ago now.
Oh, nice.
So they were already a producing agent, so just looking forward to helping them grow and learn with eXp. But yeah, I'm definitely still out there, trying to spread the good message of eXp and see who else, can change their lives with our model. So it's something that's in the works that I've been working on, but definitely.
Well, congratulations. I mean, the first one is huge, right? And they say if you can get 1, you can get 10, and if you can get 10, you can get 100, whatever.
Absolutely, yep.
So the sky's the limit now, right? And so what about that one? You said he's already a producing agent. What were they looking for? How did you make that connection? How did you introduce eXp? Or I guess you guys were already friends.
Yeah, so we were already friends, and they had reached out.
Everybody brings a friend.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, bring your friend to eXp. But yeah, we were friends, and so they mentioned that they were looking to change from their brokerage because they weren't getting a lot of value from their broker. And I think it was, I could be wrong on this, but I believe it was a more like small mom and pop type of brokerage.
Okay.
But they were looking for something more, and so they mentioned that they were looking at KW and Remax and everything. And I was like, well, why don't you just look at eXp and just so you have something else to compare. They came to a Zoom call that we have once a month with our team, and they saw the model and immediately signed up and came over this value that we have. I think the big thing that they liked was the training that we offer. Is all they didn't really have that from their broker, but the fact that we've got 80 plus hours of live training plus all this recorded training everywhere was something that they saw as a value to them.
Right, and that's huge. I mean, it's like I was a small like independent broker owner myself, and it's difficult because when you're under a certain size, which I would say basically really anything under like 50 agents, most of the time the broker has still got to produce, like, create sales in order to make money, because the office isn't, self-sustainable, right, until you get closer to 100 agents, and and then everything kind of shifts there. So it's a lot of times difficult for small mom and pop boutique brokers, to turn around and have a lot of training and stuff, because they're trying to focus on still selling and doing that stuff too, because they got to pay the bills. And it's kind of that catch-22, you know what I mean? Like, and I know when I started, I went to a small broker as well, thinking I'd get that kind of one-on-one attention, and it just didn't work. He was also busy, doing his thing, because that's why he's small, because he does it.
Yeah.
That's just kind of the weird way it works out. So yeah, maybe soon he can go and talk to his broker about moving their broker and kind of saving themselves some time and money, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the hopes and dreams, and just sharing, what we have to offer with eXp.
Well, heck yeah. Well, yeah. So it sounds like you're firing on all cylinders, right? You've got the sales going, you've got a pipeline built up, you're getting some training and coaching, and you're not paying. Well, I guess most of it's free. You're not paying a ton of money for that, and then at the same time you're getting sales, you're getting stock, you're working on the revenue share. I mean, you're hitting it on fire. That's awesome, man.
Yep. Trying to build it out every way possible. I mean, I don't want to focus on just one thing and miss out on another part of the business when we've got so many different ways, to bring in some income.
Right. No, that's awesome. And so where do you see yourself with all these kind of options and all this in front of you? Where do you see yourself as far as real estate goes in your real estate business over the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah. So in that time, I would like to, eventually start a team. And I'm still newer, and I've got one person that I've sponsored into the company, but I would like to build out the revenue share and just have like kind of my own team that I'm mentoring and helping grow as well. But I also really want to keep focusing on the production part of it too. So hopefully in the next 5 years, I'm in the top 5, at minimum top 10 agent here in the San Antonio area.
Oh, nice.
As far as production amount. So that's kind of that goal.
Right.
I want to try to sell as many homes as possible over the next several years and see how many lives I can change as well.
That's awesome. That's a big goal, but I'm sure you can hit it. Like I said, you're firing on all cylinders.
Yep.
And
honestly, with the mentors that we have here at eXp too, like I think it's possible even in maybe less than 5 years. So we'll definitely
for sure, I think. Yeah. And just to kind of wrap up, what's the one thing that you might that you'd love to share with us and everybody that maybe we haven't talked about yet, or anything that we might have left out?
It's not too late. If you're thinking about getting into real estate for the first time to become an agent, like it's not too late to get in. Like I know there's lots of realtors in just about every market, but I kind of had that same thought of like maybe it's too late, but it's not. I just get in and get going, like get your feet wet and do the best you can. Also, like if people aren't with eXp and they're thinking like, oh no, it's too late to join eXp, like the stock's already at $50, or whatever it may be. Like, no, it's still not too late. I think we're just over 60,000 agents strong, and still growing. So we're still small compared to those other bigger brokerages, more established brokerages. But it's not too late to join a part of eXp and get your life changed as well. So.
Well, heck yeah, that's great advice. And I will say that some of the stuff that I've heard is people think eXp can be as many as 200,000, maybe even 500,000 agents just in the the U.S. Canada kind of area, much less worldwide. So yeah, I think there's tons of upside when you look at it that way, right? We're not even at 100,000 agents yet, and there's a lot of upside.
Absolutely.
So I think you hit the nail on the head. But I just wanted to say thanks again, Brock. I appreciate you taking the time, and yeah, you knocked it out of the park. Thanks again.
Yeah, thanks for your time, Jay. I appreciate it, and it was fun. Look forward to talking to you soon.
For sure, we'll have to do this again.
Absolutely.